What is audio recording? When we refer to audio recording, we talk about the process to record any sound. This sound can come from any type of source, musical instrument, human voice, or any other source you can imagine. Then, this sound is converted into an electric signal that can be processed by a digital or analog recording system, a console or a computer, for example. Acoustic instruments, due to the nature of their sound, will need a microphone to pick up the sound produced. Nonetheless, electric instruments such as keyboards, electric guitars, or bass guitars will need a line to connect the instrument to the computer or recording device. In order to record a sound to create an audio, many methods can be considered. The most commonly used are multi-tracking, overdubbing, and live recording. Multi-tracking is used when the whole band or a group of instruments or sources needs to be recorded at the same time. Overdubbing is used when a single instrument or source needs to be recorded on top of already recorded tracks. Last but not least, live recording refers to a recording that is handled in real time, playing all the instruments at the same time and recorded to a 2-channel stereo track. The importance of audio recording in a production nowadays. Most of the productions and music that are being released are mostly created using MIDI instruments and sound libraries. Nonetheless, the most successful formula for a hit is to combine programmed sounds and synths with live audio recordings. Setting up your recording session in Ableton Live. Before starting a recording session in Ableton Live, it's important to properly set up your project so the session runs smoothly and with the best quality possible. Follow these steps to set up your Ableton project correctly. Launch Ableton Live. Double-click the Ableton Live icon to open the software. Create a new project. Click on File, and then select New Live Set, or use the shortcut key Ctrl+N, Windows, or Command+N, Mac, to create a new project. Choose the audio interface. In Ableton Live, go to Options and select Preferences, or use the shortcut key Ctrl+, Windows, or Command+, Mac. Under the Audio tab, select your audio interface from the drop-down menu. Choose sample rate. Before starting any recording, it's very important to set up the correct sample rate on your session so all recordings sound well. Under the Audio tab, make sure that the sample rate that appears is the same one that your audio interface is set at. Choosing the right buffer size. In order to have a smooth recording session, it is very important for the performer to be able to monitor itself perfectly. Buffer size allows you to control the latency of your session. In order to have the lowest latency in your recording, choose 128 or 256 from the drop-down menu in the Audio tab. Choosing inputs in Ableton Live. After we have set up the audio interface in the project session, it's time to choose the inputs we are going to use for the recording. Every audio interface has different types of inputs and outputs, but they all share the same characteristics. Here are the most common types of inputs. Mic inputs. These are the main inputs of an audio interface. You can connect a microphone or a direct box via an XLR cable. High Z inputs. These inputs are also known as high impedance inputs. They are meant for connecting electric guitars or electric basses via 1/4 inch cable. Instruments with a low output volume such as electric guitars and basses can connect directly to the audio interface without having to use a direct box or an amplifier to boost the signal. Analog inputs. Almost every audio interface has the possibility to extend their inputs via analog gear. Protocols like ADAT or SPDIF allow you to connect external mic preamps to your audio interface so you can have many more audio inputs when recording a session. Now that we know the main types of inputs that an audio interface might have, let's assign those inputs into a project in Ableton Live. In order to do that, follow these steps. Create a new audio track by clicking on the Create and then Insert Audio Track. Go to the track header and open the drop-down menu below Ext. In. Select the desired input for your track. If your inputs don't appear, select Configure to set up the inputs properly. Once you have selected the input, adjust the input gain on your audio interface to make sure the proper level of signal is getting into Ableton. Check the incoming signal by looking at the input level meter in the track header. Arm the track for recording. Now, you should be able to press record and start your recording session. Monitoring in Ableton Live. When recording in Ableton Live, it is very important to have a good monitoring environment. Here are a list of all types of monitoring options that Ableton Live offers and the ways that they are used. Off. This deactivates the monitoring of the input signal. When the Off button is selected, you will only be able to hear the recorded audio when playing back after recording it. This option is often used when there is a big amount of latency happening and your audio interface has the option to monitor the input signal without getting into Ableton Live. Auto. This option automatically switches between input monitoring and playback monitoring. If the play button is pressed, it will monitor the recorded signal. If the recorded button is pressed, it will monitor the input signal coming from the interface. This is the most useful monitoring option. This setting monitors only the input signal. It doesn't matter if you are recording or you are playing back a previous recording, only the input signal from the audio interface will be monitored. Auto and Off. Delay compensation. These settings are the same that we've mentioned above, but with compensation for the delay that plugins or effect racks might cause. You can switch between the different monitoring options in Ableton Live by clicking on the Monitoring buttons in the track's header. Let's sum up all these previous steps and tips to one unique list. Here is how you can record audio in Ableton Live. First, open Ableton Live and create a new project. Go to Live, Preferences, and under the Audio tab, select your audio interface, set your buffer size and check the sample rate. Connect your instrument to your audio interface via mic or Hi-Z inputs. Create a new audio track by going to Create, and then select Insert Audio Track. Choose the input that you want to use from your audio interface in the drop-down menu in the track header. Arm the audio track by pressing the record button on the track header. Set the correct gain level for your recording. Make sure it's not too low or too high. Choose your monitoring option in the track header and check that the signal is getting into Ableton Live properly. Press record and start your recording session. By following these steps, you can now record instruments or vocals in Ableton Live and have a professional recording session. I hope you've enjoyed exploring the endless creative possibilities that this powerful software has to offer. Always trust your instincts and let your artistic expression flourish. Don't be afraid to experiment and discover your own unique sound. I'm excited for what the future holds on your musical journey. Thank you for joining me in this tutorial.